Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to spend some time with me on the video today. Always really appreciate that. And guys, today we have an oldie but a goodie. We're going to be talking about fishing a tube on a jig head. This is a technique that's been around forever, and this time of the year, specifically in the summertime and the early fall, this is one of the best techniques that you can have to catch fish in a little bit deeper water. But here in Table Rock Lake, where I fish a lot, this is one of the favorite techniques of the guides that don't use live bait, is they love this tube jig head rig this time of year. So I'm going to show you guys how to rig it up and talk a little bit about how to fish it and where you want to fish it at. Also, guys, just some quick information here on my Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. I've had a couple people asking about that as far as a little bit more detail. Guys, these are breakdowns I built for Fish the Moment, and we've got lakes of all across the country. We've got them for 4 different seasons of the year. And each map gives you 40 GPS waypoints that you can download straight to your fish finder. And then you can, go to those places. We get tips and advice on how to fish each spot. Most all these spots are places I've fished personally over my years fishing tournaments. Good way to learn more about your favorite lake or a lake you've never been to. So I'll put my Fish the Moment lake map breakdown link in the description. Really appreciate that. Okay, guys, the technique I'm talking about, this has been around for several decades. Highly productive, and it's still good today. It's still just as good in the right situation, and that involves just like a 4-inch tube, variety of different colors, guys. Smoke red flake's a good one. Any type of green pumpkin or watermelon works good. And also, guys, I'll link everything that I'm talking about in today's video in my tackle warehouse link in the description of the video if you want to get set up with it. But some type of a natural color: green pumpkin, watermelon, smoke, just any of those. 4-inch size for the most part. And then take a pair of scissors, and you want to cut a slot probably about 1 inch up, to put your hook in here. Gives your hook goes up in there a lot easier. Next thing you do is you get your jig head, your tube head. There's a lot of good tube heads out there. I'll link a few in the description of the video. You want something that has some type of a cylindrical head, and I like the O'Shaughnessy bend that you can see here. Seems like I can hook a lot of fish, and it's really simple, guys. Just put it up into the end of the tube, run it in there, come out the top, and then you got your tube rig up there, just the hook sitting like that. Okay, so that's a really simple setup. Now, the main thing about this tube is what you want to do with it and how you want to fish it and where you want to fish it at. Most of the time, I like, some type of a 3/16 to an 1/8 ounce head, even if I'm fishing deeper water. If I'm fishing water, even 15 or 20 foot deep, a lot of times I like that light head because it just seems like to me when you're bouncing that thing along the bottom, 3/16, 1/8 ounce, and maybe at the most a quarter, it just seems like it falls a little bit better. And I usually fish it on 6 to 8 pound test Seagarn Vizex line and that Megabass Alkali spinning rod. That's the setup for it. Now, main thing is what you want to fish these things on. And in the summertime, it's all about flat points. You guys hear me talking a lot about flat points in the summer because they're really good bass structure, but for the tube, you really, really need flat points, and we'll talk a little bit about smallmouth up north here in a second, but try to find some flat points on the lower end of the lake that you've got the cleanest water available. You really need to have about probably a minimum of 3 foot visibility for this to work. Ideally, I like to have, 4 to 10 foot of visibility is like perfect in my opinion. Clear water situation that's going to work better at. And then you need to have a flat point that tapers a long way out into the lake, and that point could be a clay point, like for you guys that fish like at Lake Hartwell. It can be some type of a gravelly mixed rock point, but you don't really want to fish those steeper, rocky, big rock channel type points. You want to get those points that run way out into the lake. Next thing you do is once you get in that flatter point and you've got the right water visibility, like 3, 4, 5, 6 foot of visibility, get out there and start fishing about 75 yards on either side of the point and start working your way to the point. Put your boat in about 25 to 30 foot of water and just make long casts up towards the point. Most of the time, depending upon the angle of the bank, your lure is going to be landing in 5 to 8 foot of water, and just work that tube all the way out to 20, 25 foot of water, because on those flat points, some of those fish will be in a lot of different depth zones on the same point. You may catch a bass in 5 foot of water off the end of a point on a tube, and then you may catch one on the same point, 30 foot of water. You don't really have to have brakes. You don't have to have any structure. It's just the flat point. And I think what those fish do is on those flatter points, those fish will just hug the bottom in the summertime of the year, and they swim around those gravelly bottoms just looking for, whatever they can find down there. Little crawdads, little perch swimming down there, whatever they can get. Really good technique. Like I said, anywhere between July and mid to September is going to be a good thing. And on the tube, one of the things that will help you is when you're fishing that tube, try to snap it up pretty hard. Snap it up where that tube comes off the bottom at least 2 foot. I usually snap it hard enough to where it comes off 2 to 4 foot off the bottom. And it seems like on that sharp snap, it can generate the reaction strike. And then by using that lighter head, you got the slow fall down, which they hit it on that sometime. Now that's on a typical man-made lake. Everybody knows how good a tube is up north for smallmouth. If you guys fish up north, all the northern lakes, St. Clair all the way over to Lake Champlain, you can't beat that same setup just fishing those big flats for smallmouth. Same type of deal. Get out there and just pop that tube pretty hard off the bottom, cover a lot of water on those flats. It's just a really good way to catch them this time of year. It's just super fun. It works really good on lakes that have a lot of smallmouth or spotted bass in it. And sort of a technique that just people don't use much anymore. It sort of got, left by the wayside with all the other new baits that are available out there. But like I said, a lot of the really old veterans that still catch a ton of fish, that's still one of their favorite baits. So anyway, guys, give it a try. I hope it helps you catch a few, and we'll talk later.